What if I told you, most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are? Pause for a second. Really think about that. How many times have you hesitated before speaking? Before posting? Before wearing something you actually like? Just because you imagined what others might think? That silent fear, that invisible audience in your head, it feels real, doesn't it? Almost like everyone is watching, judging, evaluating your every move. But here's the strange truth. They're not. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves. This is something psychologists often refer to as the spotlight effect. We believe a spotlight is constantly shining on us, exposing our flaws, our mistakes, our awkward moments. But in reality, everyone else is standing under their own spotlight, worried about how they look, how they sound, how they're being perceived. Think about the last time you made a small mistake in public. Maybe you said something awkward, stumbled over your words, or wore something slightly out of place. It probably stayed in your mind for hours, maybe even days. But ask yourself, how long did others really think about it? A few seconds? Maybe less? This is where people who don't care what others think start to differ. It's not that they're fearless. It's not that they're unaware of judgment. It's that they've realized something deeper. They've realized that most judgment is imagined. And even when it's real, it's temporary. There's a quiet freedom in understanding that people's opinions are not permanent truths. They're just passing thoughts. Today, someone might judge you. Tomorrow, they won't even remember you. So why give those fleeting opinions so much power over your permanent decisions? But let's go deeper. At a subconscious level, the fear of judgment is tied to something ancient. Humans evolved in tribes, where being accepted meant survival, and being rejected could mean danger. So your brain is wired to seek approval, to avoid standing out too much, to fit in. That fear you feel, it's not weakness, it's biology. But here's the paradox. The very instinct that once helped us survive now holds us back from truly living. Because today, you're not trying to survive a tribe. You're trying to build a life. And the people who seem like they don't care, they've simply learned to question that instinct. They've paused and asked themselves, is this fear protecting me or limiting me? They've realized that constantly performing for others leads to a life that doesn't feel like their own. A life where choices are made not from desire, but from approval. Not from truth, but from fear. And slowly, quietly, they start choosing differently. They speak even when their voice shakes. They wear what they like, even if it stands out. They express ideas that might not be popular, not because they don't feel fear, but because they refuse to be controlled by it. And maybe that's the real definition of not caring what others think. It's not the absence of fear. It's the decision that your life matters more than that fear. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. People who don't care what others think often care deeply, just not about the same things. They care about truth. They care about authenticity. They care about living a life that actually feels like theirs. And that shift changes everything. Because when you stop chasing external validation, you start building internal approval. And that's a completely different kind of confidence. Think about it. Most people are constantly asking, even if silently, do they like me? Do I fit in? Am I good enough in their eyes? But someone who has let go of that dependency starts asking a different question. Do I like me? That's a powerful shift. Almost uncomfortable at first, because now there's no one else to blame. No external audience to impress. Just you and your own standards. And here's the paradox again. When you stop trying to impress people, you often become more impressive. Why? Because authenticity is rare. And rare things naturally stand out. Imagine two people walking into a room. One is carefully adjusting their behavior, trying to match everyone else, saying what's safe, doing what's expected. The other is calm, grounded, unapologetically themselves. Not loud, not arrogant, just real. Who do you think people notice more? Not always consciously, but deeply, instinctively, people are drawn to authenticity. Because it's something most people are secretly craving, but too afraid to fully express. But let's not romanticize it. Living this way isn't easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments where you feel misunderstood, moments where standing alone feels uncomfortable. Because when you stop following the crowd, you naturally step outside of it. And that can feel isolating, but it's also where clarity begins. Because in that space, you're no longer reacting, you're choosing. No longer performing, you're being. And slowly, something shifts inside you. You realize that not everyone needs to like you. You realize that disagreement isn't rejection. You realize that your worth isn't something others get to decide. And maybe the biggest realization of all, the opinions you feared so much were never in control of your life. You gave them that control. So what happens when you take it back? What happens when you live in a way that feels right to you? Even if it doesn't make sense to everyone else? That's where real freedom begins. Not loud, not dramatic, but quiet, steady, deeply rooted freedom. The kind where you can walk your own path without constantly looking over your shoulder. And maybe, just maybe, that's what it truly means to not care what others think.